We're gearing up for Week 5 of the Texas high school football season, and who better to talk about it with than the Hall of Famer Craig Way. You can hear him on the on 8 and 1300 The Zone in Austin on the Craig Way Show every afternoon, where he is talking about all things football and all things sports across the state. Craig, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. As V&A adjusted to your style, your antic. Well, has she adjusted to you?
I would say probably not. I would say that it's as you know, Craig, I'm an acquired taste.
Oh, God.
Yes. That's a true statement.
That
No doubt about
sense.
it. I learned to acquire the taste early, being exposed to you early, and I had such an appreciation for your appreciation for the game that I was able to overlook your other peccadillos and not worry about it.
That's tough but fair. He's Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. Joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today. And also the voice of the Texas Longhorns, who have a big game this week. An SEC opener. Your first game as an SEC, luminary here. I always thought it was funny when the SEC network would do like I went to the University of Missouri and they would do like SEC Legends packages, and it would be like Chase Daniel, who never played in the SEC. Do you consider yourself now an SEC man?
Well, I guess we're about to find out if it just means more, as they say. When we were at SEC Media Days back in July downtown Dallas at the Omni, the gigantic banners were up everywhere about it just means more, yada, yada, and we've seen all that kind of stuff. So now we get to find out really and truly if it indeed just means more, since it'll be the first ever conference game for Texas. And there's a lot of excitement around it. I mean, last week it was a pretty warm day and evening, and for a non-conference game against UL Monroe, and they drew their fifth largest crowd ever. They had over 102,000. So I imagine the atmosphere will be similarly inclined when Jeff Levy brings his MSU Bulldogs into town.
And one question I want to have for you now. Mississippi State is riding the struggle bus a little bit. Texas I've seen as a 30-plus point favorite in this game. My question for you is to dive into, I know a lot of talk has been made about the quarterback situation, but is there an offensive player, let's remove quarterback here for a second. Is there an offensive player that has surprised you for the Longhorns? Look, they're 4-0, things are going well, probably in a positive way. Is there one guy that you would say, I think he's overperformed relative to our expectations in the preseason?
You know what? I think the universal answer for those who've watched the team is going to be the tight end, Gunnar Helm. He was expected to be good and to elevate his game, and he's a veteran and all that, but still he's was replacing Jatavian Sanders, who was just tremendous. I mean, we saw him all the way back at Denton Ryan, what he could do, and then obviously through his time at Texas, and he's now with the Carolina Panthers. And I don't know that folks expected Gunnar Helm to be as productive as he has been. Had a huge touchdown catch against Michigan, and has always been kind of a leader and a good blocker and all that kind of stuff. But he's emerged as a weapon, and I think that's probably surprised folks as much as just about anything else, is that Gunnar Helm would step up and be as productive as he has been at that tight end spot.
So now I want to kind of pivot over to the high school side and talk a little bit about the what's been going on there, especially down in your neck of the woods there in the Austin area. And one of the questions that I have in particular would be about maybe some of the bigger surprises that you have. So I'll throw a couple teams out there. I don't think it's necessarily a surprise, even though Westlake goes and beats Tascasita. It's a wildly impressive victory for the Sheps. I don't know if I would, or Civil of Steel rather, I don't know if I'd classify that as necessarily a surprise. They've been good. Lake Travis at 4-0. Is there another team down there in the Austin area that you look at through 4 weeks and you are saying, all right, maybe that team, maybe it's time for me to rethink recalibrate the expectations there because they've overachieved what I thought they'd be?
It would be difficult only because there's been some cannibalizing going on
Mm-hmm.
between some of the teams that you thought would be really good early, and some teams have knocked one another off. Like, we thought Vandegrift would be good, and then they lost to Cedar Park, and
Mm-hmm.
and then Cedar Park turned around and got beat the next week. And I'm curious to see this Weiss Hendrickson outcome,
Mm-hmm.
how this works out this week. I think that's an important one as well. Maybe LBJ has raised an eyebrow or two because of their nice start and what they've had to do. I would say maybe LBJ might fit that. And Bowie has been good. But we're going to get a reality check on Bowie. Taking on Lake Travis this week. So that, 2 unbeaten.
I think that's an excellent point, especially with a team like Bowie, which has started the year hot. They look fantastic. That is a matchup of unbeatens between Lake Travis and Austin Bowie. But I think there's also this measurement that, and we talk about this whenever we put together our rankings as well, of like, I like what you've done so far, but I also know what's coming down the pike this week or maybe next week and stuff like that. And so for a team like Bowie, with Joe's off to a great start, I think that it would be fair to say all their wins, I think they're 4-0 to start the year, they would trade all 4 of those wins if they could just beat Lake Travis this week. That would say more about that than the 4 wins that came before it.
Especially being a district game. And let me also say this about Lake Travis. They may have, I know they were, top 10 to top 15, depending on the ranking that you were consulting to open the season, the computer and all that other kind of stuff. But this was looked at going into this year as, ho-hum, it's another year for Westlake. Mm-hmm. And in all probability, they'll go the D2 route. So, Lake Travis will be slotted in there. Now let's look and see at the other cadet. It was that kind of thing. And Lake Travis probably wasn't looked at quite as favorably, but what they're doing is they found enough offense to go with the pride and joy of Hank Carter, and that's his defense. And his defense has played really well. So that's what's going to be interesting to see as they go forward in district play, starting with Bowie, which has some offensive weapons.
Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation with hashtag TF Today. All right, I want to give you kind of a broad question about just your state of mind in a week 5 of the Texas high school football season, where we are now kind of into that kind of big middle section. There's a lot of teams playing district game play, but also, a lot of teams out there, kind of an even split, so to speak. So my question for you is, if given the opportunity to go to a game, I'll pick one at random, go to a game like Longview, Pine Tree, and Kilgore, which is a terrific game, a show-stopping type game, and a district opener for those two teams. Or go to a game like Columbus and Belleville, which is a big-time showdown of teams we think very highly of, but is a non-district contest. I would just say thematically, where would you land on that kind of choice?
Well, it's a great question, because here's why. You've heard me talk about the benchmark moments in a given high school football year, that opening night, it stands alone and how great it is. I always say going into that final Friday night, technically on the calendar, I guess it's week 11, but it's the 10th and final game of the regular season for those who are playing, and unwrapping the playoff package. And then you get to the first round of the playoffs. And then, of course, state championship Saturday. Those are those special moments. This particular week, and I've thought about this a couple of times, I meant to bring this up on the show, and maybe this week is the time to do it on the show tomorrow night on Scoreboard Live. Week 5, and it can be in that interregnum, the week 4 to week 6, is kind of a weird, kind of curious thing, because what you have is a mixture of district openers or second district games, and or a late non-district game mixed in with an ample amount of bye weeks. So it quite often, it's hard to get a good handle on this. And so what we do, and what you just pointed out, is we gravitate toward those bigger matchups to kind of tide us over until we start to get to the grind. And I'm as curious as you are about Pine Tree. And I will tell you this, I'm as curious about Panther Creek and what they can do with Salina. So this is another one of those show me what you got kind of weeks. And like to your point, I like what you show me so far, but can you show me more? And I think the 3 weeks in between week 4 and week 6 is when we look at a lot of those games in that way.
I think you're spot on, and for the record, and this is real rough and dirty here, but 680. There's 686 games in the state this week. 357 are district games, so we are right at that midway point of like right at about half of them are district games. Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. It's the meanest thing we do to each other each week. I'm going to make you pick a game, and just for the sake of just to make it a little easier on you, just because I like you, I will go with district games only, so you don't have to make that choice. So you can choose to teleport to the Star, Frisco Panther Creek, and Salina. You can go to tonight. In Alvin, you can go to Richmond Randall and Alvin Iowa Colony in a matchup of district or unbeatens, or you can wait till tomorrow night and go to San Antonio to Smithson Valley and San Antonio Piper. Which of those 3 games are you teleporting to?
See, why couldn't I just drive to the Thursday game tonight and then teleport on Friday?
Because these aren't the rules, Craig.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mentioned the Panther Creek Salina game, and that's kind of a show-me type of thing. But I kind of feel similarly inclined with regard to the Smithson Valley Piper game. We saw what Piper could do last year, and we obviously saw what Smithson could do getting all the way to the state final. So it's an early leg up on that. But, again, the tug on me is to see what some of the newer, younger programs who are off and running, Richmond Randall's another one of those, how they can do when they begin to get tested. I think Richmond Randall will handle its business against Iowa Colony, but I am curious about Salina Panther Creek for sure.
He's Craig Way. He's the host of The Craig Way Show, which the internet tells me, listen to the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster Craig Way talk all things Texas sports and more. Live show weekdays at 2 to 5 p.m. on AM 1300 The Zone. Also, High School Scoreboard Live tomorrow night on Valley Sports Southwest, 10:30, alongside myself and Aaron Hardigan. And then listen to him call the SEC opener for the Texas Longhorns against Mississippi State. Craig, appreciate your time, my friend, and I will see you tomorrow night.
Hey, is tonight a show me, prove it to me game for the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Giants or both?
Yes.
Let's go to Vianney Moreno, who was at one of those losses. You have thoughts?
I was. Well, let's just say, if they don't win tonight, I might reconsider my fandom.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
It's a big night. Thanks, Craig.
All right, thanks. See y'all.
There he goes.
Thank
Craig
you.
Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today.